Alright, who is ready to learn how to make a bowl? I'm gonna do that today. Little tips on doing bowls. Let's see. Alright, so for us to make our bowls, we've got about 1 pound of clay here. I am using one of these bats that don't take up the whole space so that I can easily pull it off without having to torch it. I'm going to have my stuff ready, my bowl ribs. I'm not sure which one of these I'm going to use with a 1 pounder, but I do want to have it available, so I'm going to have them all here just in case. And I'm also going to have my torch available just in case I need it. May not need it, but if I do need it, I want it available. And if you're ever making a bigger bowl, I'm going to highly recommend that you take an old hair dryer that someone in your house isn't using anymore and have that available. So I do have that. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get this centered for you guys. Same way I showed you last time. My right arm is going to be my anchor and my left hand is going to be my guide. So pinky's tucked under. And if you have that divot there, that means your pinky is tucked just right. Okay, so let's raise this up. So even when I'm doing 1 pound of clay, and especially if I'm doing 1 pound of clay, I will make sure that I'm bringing my clay up and down several times, because if I have a pot that is 2 pounds or less, I don't bother to wedge the clay. Many people can do that if they want to, but it's just my thing. I think that the wedging works just fine with me doing this cone up and down. That's essentially doing the wedging for me. So this is clay straight out of the bag, no wedging, just bringing it up and down, and that's my wedging. So once again, I am doing the lean in. And as I lean in, it gets that nice and centered for me. My final centering here. Alright, so what is different between making a cylinder and making a bowl? If I'm going to do a bottle or a vase or something like that, I am going to be looking to bring this clay straight up and then bowing it out. But since I'm going to make a bowl, I need it to come out almost from the start. So you'll see what I mean once I do this. Okay, so now that we're centered, I'm going to use my body mechanics again to bring it down. And once I'm in the right place down there, I'm using my body mechanics to pull it out. And I'm not as worried about keeping the top narrow now because it's a bowl. I don't want the top to be narrow. But I am still going to compress that bottom here. Okay, do that about 7 times. And 7's not a specific number. It's just about that many times at least to get that bottom compressed. I'm just pressing straight down from the outside inward, outside inward, outside inward. Alright, now that that's done. So as I'm doing the pull, I am from the start going to be pulling kind of out in this direction. So I can make this in a bowl form from the start. Okay. Still anchored. And so what I do differently here is my outside hand is my anchor hand and my inside hand is where I'm doing the pulling. So what that means is I am pressing from the inside hand out against the outside hand. Whereas when I'm making the cylinder, my inside hand is the anchor and my outside hand is pressing inward. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Alright, so same thing. So as you're doing this, you want to be aware of this, especially this base area right here, because that is controlling your walls in terms of keeping them from collapsing on you. So you do want to leave a little bit of extra clay right there. That extra clay you can trim off later. You can use it to make a really pretty foot on your bowl. But right now it has one job, and that one job is to support your walls here. So you want to leave it just a little extra in terms of having a little bit of clay there. So now I'm going to do just a little stronger pull. And the inside hand is still doing the work. And as you get to the top here, I want you to be careful to stop when you get about right there. Because I think what a lot of us do is we end up having a rim that has just been overworked and doesn't have much clay left in it. So if you train yourself to stop about 1/4 of an inch before you get to the top, then you won't run into that problem. Alright, I'm going to do one last pull here. I'm going to make sure that I have some moisture on the inside, not a ton of moisture. I'm using some of the slip from the bottom of this bowl. I'm going to do one last pull before I do my final shaping. There we go. We've got a nice little cereal bowl or soup bowl. So now for my shaping, my final shaping, just to clean it up and make it look pretty, I'm going to have my metal rib, which I use every time I throw. And I think I'm going to use this bowl rib right here, this blue one. And I will start first by just doing a little bit of compression in the wall, keeping this hand, outside hand steady. Inside hand is pressing against the rib on the outside hand, just to clean it up. And I'm feeling a little bit of tension on the inside, so that is going to make me take some slip from the bottom here and wipe it on the top, just because I don't want to pull this thing off center by not having it be slippery. Alright, so I'm finishing that cleanup on the outside. Just keeping that outside hand nice and steady. And I have this in a position like this. So I have it in the shape that I want the bowl to take. Alright, so that being said, now I'm going to do the flip side. I'm going to let it clean up by holding this like this. It's going to take the shape that I form on the outside with this rib. Same thing. Keep that right hand anchored. Okay. Nice clean bowl there. And frankly, you could stop here if you wanted to, because you have the outside cleaned up really nicely. I personally like the inside to be cleaned up nicely as well. So I'm going to use my blue rib that I just mentioned to clean the inside of the bowl. It's going to take the shape of this inside, and you can decide if you want this bowl to be wider, if you want to keep this deep look that it has right now. I'm going to stay with the deep look just because I want a deep bowl as opposed to a wide bowl. The other thing you can do is use an inside rib and an outside rib. This is a little bit more advanced, and I use this when I'm making really large platters. Is I'll have one rib on the outside and one rib on the inside, so it cleans both up at the same time. And I'm applying equal pressure inside and out. I'm really not trying to muscle it. All I want to do is compress the walls. Don't I have just the coolest guys ever in my studio there? Alright, so once you've done that, just put your chamois on top. Give the wheel a nice spin. Final cleanup on the inside. And you can clean your inside up with a couple of different things. I do have this really small, what does it say? It says solar gill. Not sure where that came from. But there's a really small rib. And I can use that to shape the very bottom of it. So I'm compressing from the bottom. Side there. See, and that cleans up just some of what's going on in the very, very bottom. Alright, I'm going to show you what the inside of this bowl looks like too, so you can see what that rib does for you. First I want to get my rim cleaned up. Alright, let's see what the inside looks like too. This is what that tool does to the inside of the bowl. This is the outside. It's about 1 pound of clay. A good sized bowl.